What made your emotionally unavailable parent finally show vulnerability? I never expected my dad to praise me since he never did. Not when I graduated top of my class, not when I earned my first big promotion, not even when my business took off and I bought my first house. I stopped hoping for his approval a long time ago. Growing up, I'd come home proudly holding trophies, report cards full of A's and letters of acceptance from prestigious colleges, only to hear the same indifferent words, "You could do better." Each achievement felt empty because his silence screamed louder than words ever could. I knew it wasn't completely his fault. My grandparents had taught him that affection made people weak and praise made them complacent. Still, understanding this didn't lessen the hurt. Then, in what felt like an instant, everything I had built came crashing down. A bad investment, changing market conditions, and a partner I trusted too much led to bankruptcy. The newspapers turned my failure into entertainment, writing headlines that mocked my fall from grace. Standing outside the courthouse after declaring bankruptcy, all I felt was humiliation. My phone went off, and my heart sank when I saw my dad's name, bracing myself for his usual silence or cutting remarks. Instead, I heard his voice, and it was gentle and unsure, saying, "I'm here." I turned around, surprised. My dad stood awkwardly on the courthouse steps, his hands shoved nervously into his pockets. There was something unfamiliar in his eyes, something I'd never seen before, compassion. Without another word, he stepped forward and hugged me, right there in front of everyone. It felt surreal, hearing him say, "I'm sorry it took this to finally get me here. You deserved so much more than silence." We ended up sitting quietly in a nearby diner afterward, neither of us knowing exactly what to say. Then, he began talking, his voice trembling. He told me how his own parents punished him for seeking praise or showing emotion, how they conditioned him to see affection as weakness. He admitted he'd spent my entire life trapped behind those walls, regretting every cold silence and dismissive comment. "I was afraid," he confessed while crying. "Afraid that showing you how proud I was would somehow weaken you, or worse, make you vulnerable like me." Seeing my father cry, openly begging for my forgiveness, changed something deep in me. I finally understood that his emotional distance wasn't rejection, it was fear. I reached across the table and held his trembling hand. I told him I forgave him, not because his past actions didn't hurt, but because he'd finally found the courage to break free from them for me. He squeezed my hand tighter, still crying, and for the first time in my life, I felt genuinely loved. Because when I needed him most, when everything had collapsed and I had nothing left, he was finally there.